What's up? Might not do a short YouTube. Probably won't be that short actually, because I'm going to talk about whatever names I want to talk about. PLYM. This is imminent. The Go Shop ends on Sunday, and we should find out whether or not there's a superior bid on Monday. I know of three other Go Shops that were successful. Two of them the Go Shops where there was a superior bid during the period. Only one of them, I think, actually ended up going to a new bidder, but that's not really relevant to this story from a timeline perspective. All three of them, the company did not announce the result of the Go Shop until one day after and 2 days after the expiration of the Go Shop. So it is not at all abnormal that we have not heard whether or not there's a superior bid yet. It almost always certainly comes when that Go Shop expires. So I expect that news on Monday. What's happened since PLYM signed their deal 3 weeks ago? The most important thing I could point you to are the four comps that I found, and I think I found these through ChatGPT and just trying to find the closest thing to a industrial REIT, and from I think some sell side notes, but I think really it was just ChatGPT, and I was really just trying to come up with a comp set. It's hard to do with this company based on where the geography is, but these comps. Sorry, I'm trying to find it here. Where the hell is it? There they are. They're actually down a little bit today. STAG, PLD, EGP, and TRNO. And if you pull their charts from mid-August, when 6th Street put in their 2410 bid, they're all up about 10%. Some up maybe 8, some up 12, 13, 10% in the neighborhood. Why is this important? All these things trade off of our cap rates. So if they're all up 10%, it's almost certain that the underlying business of PLYM is worth 10% more than it was worth August 15th. That does not mean that 6th Street would be willing to pay 10% more than 2410, but it certainly means that if they were anchored at 2410 then, based on whatever they arrived at for their valuation, which was almost certainly based on cap rates, that they could pay more than 2410 today. This also was the case 3 weeks ago, by the way. So when you're sitting here at a $22 bid, the stock's trading $22.17, and it's pricing in about a 50 cent overbid price for a chance of a Go Shop superior bid. What do I mean by that? It should be 2165 or so today if there was no chance of a superior bid coming. That would be a little bit over a 1% spread for something that's probably going to close at the end of January, something like that. Hold on one second. Let me just put on Do Not Disturb. So you're paying 45 to 50 cents, and I think that a superior bid should get you into the 24s, if not the 25s, when you're all said and done. If we use 24.50 as your likely outcome, if there is a competing bid, and then you have to put a spread in from that too. So it'll trade 24.15 or so. That's $2 up and 50 cents down. So it's pricing in something like a 20 to 25% chance of a Go Shop bid, which is really a lot, right? Go Shops almost never succeed. They have single-digit percentage chances of happening. But you have to really go back to the facts here. And the facts here are that the buyer signed a confidentiality agreement here in the early-ish of July. Okay, we know that from the filing of the merger agreement. Then 6th Street did a 13D in the middle of August at a price much higher than what this buyer ultimately is paying. And finally, the company included a Go Shop in the merger agreement. What does all of this mean to me? It means that they were in exclusive arrangements with the buyer at 22 For whatever reason, the company did not drop out of those exclusive arrangements and did not engage Sixth Street. And they put the Go Shop in because that's the only way they could do it legally to not get sued at the back end, when it shows when the preliminary comes out that they refuse to engage other bidders. The only way that that isn't true is if they did engage Sixth Street, it was an open process, and Sixth Street walked, and this was the best and final bidder. If that's the case, you don't have to put a Go Shop in, okay? It also makes no sense whatsoever why Sixth Street would have walked here. This isn't Sage Therapeutics and BioMarin with kind of a due diligence issue that must have came up, right? This is pretty vanilla, real estate that Sixth Street is intimately familiar with from their time of researching the company a year ago when they put the JV on. And also, all the leases are all public in the 10K. Wow, the market sucks. Sucks. So I still am very encouraged by the possibility of a superior bid. I don't think it even has to be Sixth Street. Okay, I think you could have any number of financial parties come in and come up with a fair value in the $26, $27 range and happily wanting to buy this at $24. So look, it's definitely sticking my neck out there since Go Shops are very rare, but I have not sold any of my position. It's a 35% position, and I can't wait for Monday. Let's move on to forward. Nothing has changed with forward with me. It is my biggest position. It's almost a 50% delta adjusted position. That's split somewhere around 26% common, and the rest is just massive call spreads. Massive call spreads all months. My biggest exposure is March right now, and my favorite call spread in March is a 20-30 call spread. If you don't have the appetite for common, I still think common is the best way to go here, given I think the downside is limited. But if you prefer to limit risk or manage risk with spreads, I love the March 20-30 call spread at 380, 375, 385, whatever, that kind of ballpark. To me, the worst case you're ever going to get here is a $25 deal, which I think is almost impossible. And if that happens, you won't lose money in that call spread. I don't think there's much more to say with forward. I'm just really excited there. I don't like the macro situation that's happening and what's happening with the market, and we might be going to a recession. Those things are all very bad for truckers. But given what's happened with the trucking industry the last few years, I'm hopeful that it's already pricing in a lot of the cyclicality, both from a business perspective and also from a stock market perspective. And I think you can have a deal in forward any day. It's more likely to be weeks than days, but all it takes is a meeting of the minds with the private equity firm, and you sign a deal at 30, 31, 29, 28, 32, whatever. I just don't see it below 28. I really don't see it below 30, but who knows? Love forward. Is really constructive on it. YEXT, that also continues to be one of my favorite ideas. We are now 3 months into the process there, so it's go time. People don't like software, they don't like tech right now. Your break there is probably down to 657 range, depending on why the break happens. If they print great numbers and they break, that's a different story than obviously printing bad numbers in early December and breaking. But I continue to think we'll get a deal there between $9.50 and $10.50. I'd be surprised if it's less than $10. It's trading $8.25. I'm very constructive there. That's a 20% position or so delta, a little bit bigger than 20% delta adjusted. 3/4 common, the rest is January calls. I think that's about it. Grinders, I made it a little smaller. That's just a 10% common position now. I didn't love the article out of the information that said that the board still hasn't seen the financing package from the buyers, but that also was a hit piece. Clearly, the board is not friendly with these two large holders, and that's going to make a deal harder here. But they really can't turn down an $18 deal if they do get the financing in place. So, and the numbers were great. So I'm still sticking around with Grinder. I made it a little bit smaller. I went from 15 to 10% in common after that information article came out. Oh, a new idea, CWAN. I've made that a small position. It's mostly me selling puts and selling vol there. I think that's a really interesting idea. So basically, you had an article that came out last week that said there were two private equity buyers that were within weeks. Not, it wasn't like an advanced article, but it definitely wasn't a preliminary article. It said it's weeks away. A deal, not like it wasn't worded like within weeks, but it would be weeks if the deal happened. The stock popped, and then on Friday you had actually there was three articles. First, it was Wednesday saying people have approached them. Then it was Friday that they had the names of the two buyers, and then Monday or yesterday, um, Monday uh, after hours or right when the market closed, another article says that Tomo Bravo, um, approached them. And why I really like this, especially like selling vol on it, is this stock was like a 17, 18, $19 stock, more like 18 to $20 stock all through the fall. It just went to 16, 16.50 for a few days last week. Maybe for good reasons on earnings, whatever. But the real unaffected price here is more like $19. And I don't think you're gonna get a deal any less than $24 here. So the stock's trading 21 now. It's not as great as when it was 20, but I really like selling vol. I like selling the 22.50 December puts. I like selling the December 20 puts. Um, I don't know if I'll have a deal by then. So if we don't, you'll collect that big premium from the vol. And I don't think it'll break by then. You now have two different parties interested in this. So it's one of the more stronger opportunities out there, I think, given that the stock's not pricing in much premium based on those articles. So it's not a big position, it's just a few percent. Delta adjusted is probably like a 7%, but I'm short mostly November vol, and if it's above $20, it's all going to roll off. So it's gonna shrink for me. I also put on 20 22.50 call spreads in January and March. You can't get those on anymore at the prices that I paid, but even if you pay a buck 25 for those, it's a 50-50 kind of thing. It will be sold for more than 22.50. So maybe January is too soon. I don't think it is too soon, but March certainly isn't. And the articles strike me as way more than a coin flip. I think that's about everything, guys. I'm not going to make this longer than it needs to be. I'm basically all out of KROS now. I have a small position post tender, and I'm short 1750 calls in Jan, Dec, and November. So I'm never going to talk really about KROS again. It's just a very low single digit delta adjusted position. And dude, let's get a forward deal. Let's get a forward deal at 28 or higher, and let's party in Vegas. All right. Take care, all. Stay safe out there. Market's nasty, nasty, and get out of your crypto.